Struggles of I mean, obviously I think it's become way more prominent because like I don't remember like 12, 13 years ago the whole post-show thing of like food being that much of an issue for many, right? Like maybe we just didn't hear of it, but I don't remember it being such a prominent, like at the top of the list, like the most common post-show thing that people discuss. You know what I mean? Um, so I think obviously social media shed more light, and as people have like come out and said like, oh, I don't have a plan now, and I'm
And
binging, and
people, and realistically, people have just gotten softer as the years have went on. But
I was literally gonna say I'm like, and also too, just like the discipline of individuals and like the hard exterior shell of individuals has gone down. So, um, for me, I guess what I don't get is how you can go 20, 24 weeks, whatever it is, and be so locked in and disciplined and then just let it go within like a day or two, right? Like for me, and maybe that's just because I've never done it. Um, but I feel like when you're in something for the right reasons, right? Like if you're in it for a long term type thing, anything in general, you're more focused on being locked in as opposed to, hey, this is just like a one and done thing and then not giving a shit, right? So, I mean, obviously the biggest struggle to the question we see is people just binging and eating and not having any form of self-discipline. Um, how to deal with it. I wish I had the exact right answer. I don't think there is a right or wrong answer for that. Because
yeah,
everybody's different.
everybody's different is the main point. I think when I look at it from the outside looking in, there's a couple of variables that trigger the post-show depression. And one is you just had this big goal you were working towards that's now over, right?
Right.
And that's just kind of a hard reality for a lot of people when you're pouring your heart and soul into something and then it's just done after a day, right?
Mm.
So if that's if that's your issue, I would encourage you to set another goal very quickly. And maybe you're the type of person where you're like, hey, I want to do the same exact show next year. And at least that gives you a concrete date and event to work towards. So that's great. Another thing you might think about is maybe it's just like an off-season, I don't know, weight, or even just, hey, these are the three movements I really want to improve upon and hit a certain number of reps at a certain weight. Like start focusing on other things than just the show to create goals around because that'll kind of help fill that void, right? Because you might not always know what the show is going to be as soon as you're done with a prep, right?
Right.
Oh, number two, I think is the look. Obviously, you get depressed because you're not inside out. You don't look better than you've ever looked in your life before,
Hmm.
and that can be challenging for a lot of people. But if you're with the right coach, aka either Steve or I, or people like us, um, nobody's going to get you fat, right, in the off season. So it's like as long as you're listening to a plan and following your reverse properly, I would
Hmm.
learn to like the look that you have because it's very likely you're going to look pretty damn good all year round working with somebody like me or Steve. Nobody's going to be walking around with a ton of body fat, right?
Right.
And number three, I think another thing that drives a lot of the depression around it is there's no more limelight for you. There's not a lot of attention. A lot of people get kind of addicted to the feeling that everybody, wants to talk to them or like their social media posts or engage with them in some way because you're looking sick and you're close to a show, right?
Hmm.
If that's the problem, obviously, that's kind of a very person dependent on how to manage something like that. But I would try to encourage you to find more, I don't know, gratification in yourself rather than seeking it from exterior sources.
Yeah, it's really, really good advice.
Yeah, so I think that kind of covers that one.
Yep.
Would
Good
love to
next
hear what to expect as a first time competitor on show day.
on show days. Okay. So, early morning for sure. Um, gonna be up early. Obviously you'll be checking in, pretty consistently still. Um, I would say you can expect to be thirsty, um, cotton mouth, probably tired to a certain extent. I know, especially if it's like the first time competitor. A lot of people will like try to get good sleep, but there's always those nerves and that adrenaline rushing. So, I feel like there's like, you could expect maybe some tiredness, coming down to the wire here of the prep ending, but also like a good adrenaline rush. Um, Other than that, right, I think it depends on the show, right, and who the promoters are, but sometimes you could expect like a very laid back environment backstage, and other shows and promoters you can expect just obviously a very like at a Weinberger show, everything backstage is like this, right? It's quick. So, I would say like biggest thing is just a lot of you're just gonna be sitting there and it's a long fucking day. Right. I
Yeah,
think
you
that's what
said
a lot of
sitting there at
people
the same time, and Sam said
right.
we
You
have a
go,
lot of
oh,
waiting
Sam just
around.
said that,
Yeah.
a lot of waiting around. Yeah. So,
You
you're
gotta
just
wait
gonna
for
be
10
waiting.
and you wake up. You gotta wait for your
Yep.
makeup appointment, your hair appointment. You gotta wait for pre-judge. You gotta wait
Yeah.
for touch-ups backstage.
You gotta wait to be called up and then go
Mhm.
on stage. And so like just because the show says it's starting at 10 a.m., if you're a female, you're probably not going on and starting till 1 o'clock, right? So,
Yeah.
like Sam said, it's just a lot of waiting around.
Well, yeah, I think that pretty much covers it.
Yeah, other than that, it's just the day to have fun.
Yeah, it's exciting. Definitely. Very exciting show.
Yeah, it is. It is, especially when you like really enjoy it, and when you're like on and look good. It's awesome.
Yeah. When you start taking PEDs, did you see any side effects from it? I did my first cycle when I was 19. And it was really only because I competed in the WMBF at that point, which was really the only natural organization. OCB wasn't really
Right.
a big thing back in 2011. Um, and I did their one of their super pro qualifiers, meaning like one of their biggest pro qualifiers. I was the only guy in my weight class, so I was like, "Fucking seriously?" Like, yeah. So I was like, I guess natural bodybuilding is a joke, so I'm not going to do it." And I knew I wasn't going to be competitive if I didn't take gear in the NPC. So I did my first cycle when I was 19. And I think it was test and EQ.
Yep.
And I don't recall getting any side effects other than getting fucking jacked. But I am not the best
Yeah.
person to ask about that because I don't really, not until maybe a year ago, I really didn't get side effects from anything. Now I get a little, if I run any type of nandrolone, I get pretty bad gyno, but I already got it taken care of, so I don't really have to
Right.
worry about it anymore.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to remember 10 years ago. I did test. My first cycle was like 250 test, and then I think at the 6 week mark was EQ. Cause dude, EQ was so big back
Oh
then.
yeah, back then, yeah, it was
It
huge.
was so big, right? Like MPP, I don't think was a very common thing. Primo obviously was, but at fucking 23 years old, I couldn't afford that shit. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
there was where the Bayer ampules back then.
Hmm.
Remember that shit? And I think I did like, and then I think like my test went up to 300, and I did 300 EQ, and I just remember I went from like 170 pounds to like 198 pounds in like fucking 16 weeks. I remember I went from squatting like 405 for 10 naturally. I was doing like 405 for like 20. And like
Crazy.
I vividly remember sitting on the Smith machine, barely being able to do a plate and a 25 for like 10. And I remember just like struggling. And I remember like a month in, just banging out that weight and being like, what the fuck is going on? And then putting two plates on and doing it. And I was like, this is crazy. um
Steroids are great.
I should get that on a shirt for you.
Oh, please do. I love it.
Side effect wise though, I don't recall anything negative. I feel like if I had anything negative, I would remember, especially because I was like very soon removed from like all of the depression and anxiety from high school and shit. So I don't really remember anything crazy. I remember the second time I did EQ having crazy anxiety attacks after like 4 weeks being like, I fuck this, I'm not doing this. And that's the last time I ever did it.
I
The
haven't
first
done
time, no,
EQ since
yeah, it's been a while.
2012.
It's been a while, dude. Been a
Probably
while.
gonna end up running some though.
Yeah, there's no Masteron available.
Yeah, I mean, I got left over, but it's all mass prep. I'd rather
Yeah,
save it for prep anyway.
yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What else you got?
Do you think bodybuilding is becoming more mainstream?
So I think mainstream, like what first off, what's the what does mainstream mean?
Like more common amongst the normal populace?
I, I don't I mean me personally, I don't think so. I don't
I
I
think
don't
I think so.
normal.
for a couple of reasons. I think, well, one, C-Bomb introduced a lot of people to what
Right.
bodybuilding is today because he's so much bigger than bodybuilding.
Right.
Sam Sulek, very similar. I mean, he's brought so many young kids into the
Right.
sport. And then you have other people like the Trend Twins and all that stuff that have these huge followings. But as a result, I think it's becoming more mainstream. And also just seeing how young the competitors are now. Like
Well, yeah.
there's so many that are really, early 20s, even late teens that are getting into it
But
now, which wasn't
when
as
you said
common.
mainstream, I thought you meant like is it like on the internet or sports like are picking it up and that's what I thought you meant by mainstream.
No, I mean the only thing you really get from that perspective are some of the documentaries on Netflix
Right,
now
right.
that are
That's what I
coming
thought
out.
you meant. So, when I that's why I said no. I mean, I think obviously, like you said, I think the population or the demographic, I guess is a better word, within the sport has become a lot younger. Like when I did my first NPC show in I think 2013 or 14, it was me and the light heavyweight class and like 30 other dudes, and they were all in their fucking 30s. Now I would say like it's like mid to early 20s is like the average
Yeah, there's
show.
no teen class anymore, dude.
No. So I think in this form of mainstream like that, yeah, I for sure agree. I think obviously social media has drastically, it's probably the only reason why it is like that. You know what I mean? It's giving these guys, like you said, Bumstead and Sam Sulek and all that, the platform. Now, do I think that as it's become more mainstream, do I think more people rush it in a terms of
Oh
like
yeah,
the drugs and the quality of competitors has gone down? I do. If you look at the
big time.
conditioning from like 2010 to 2013, 14 at like nationals to now, dude, it's night and day. Like the guy who
Oh, I
won,
don't know, man. Not this year. This year was
no, this
fucking
year was pretty crazy.
crazy.
Yeah, it was absolutely crazy. I'm more so just I'm talking just open bodybuilding here. So
Yeah.
like,
If my physique when I turned pro, if I put that physique at nationals, I would have been second call.
damn. Yeah,
That's
I
how
mean,
fucking good those guys are. Maybe I'm
yeah, yeah,
underestimating myself a little bit here. Let's be
yeah.
honest,
I was gonna
but
say that's a little. That's
it would not have gotten me a pro card in Class C. Those guys are so fucking good. The
yeah.
top two, the top three, bro,
Well,
fucking
I also think
bananas.
that classic physique quality wise has become better across an entire first, second, and third call out than open bodybuilding has by
Oh
far.
yeah, yeah, dude. We across amateurs and across pros,
I
dude. I mean,
agree.
guys that are winning
Completely
pro
agree.
shows in like 2022 are they're lucky if they're getting the top five now.
I agree. I completely agree. So that's yeah. I think we're like if you took fifth place at nationals in 2012, they would probably win the whole show now. Open bodybuilding is what I'm saying. Like those guys were
Oh
ridiculous.
yeah, back then in 2012,
That's
yeah, yeah.
yeah, like dude, between like I remember getting into it in 2010, 2011 and like seeing these national guys like Kevin Jordan and all those dudes. Remember that guy?
Dude, KJ, Kevin Jordan was the man. He almost
Dude,
coached me actually.
literally, dude, when he won nationals, bro, if you put him against everyone today, he would fucking smoke them all.
Yeah, he was really good, and I'll never forget. Right after he won his pro card, I think it was at USA's or North Americans. Sean Ray interviewed him, and he's like, "Yeah, man, like your conditioning wasn't good. You're just lucky nobody showed up today." Kevin's just like, "Yeah, I guess you're right." Like he had no idea what to say because like, what do you say to Sean Ray? But like, fuck that, dude. Sean Ray's the dick. If I was him, I'd have
Yeah.
been like, "Yo," I'd be like, "Don't
Yeah.
rain on my parade, bro. Fuck you. I just won
Yeah,
the
yeah,
overall fucking nationals, whatever
yeah,
national
dude.
show it was."
Who's this
Kevin
guy?
Jordan's funny.
Special Ed? What the fuck?
Jacob Lee.
Oh no. I just looked up his page. He's got one post. It's fake, and it's like a fake page. I just blocked him.
Fuck you, Jacob Lee. Get out of here.
Yeah. um, but yeah, dude, like just the quality, man, is like really not the same, dude. Like you see some of these dudes winning pro cards in open bodybuilding now, and if you like I said, if you go back like eighth place at nationals in like 2011 would have won.
Yeah, some of the guys on the circuit back then are crazy. And
Oh,
so
dude,
many
they
of
were
them just
nuts.
like fell off, completely disappeared off the face of the
Dude,
planet.
a lot of like good quality guys never even got a pro card.
Yeah, it was a lot harder back then.
I also think they've made it a lot easier nowadays because like it's fucking the top nine get fucking pro cards at every show.
Yeah, top nine.
Like I don't see how second place should be getting a pro card when you lost. Like in the judge's eyes, you were not the best physique on the stage at that given time, that given day, and that given moment. In my opinion, though, how is that rewarded?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
I get why, right? I'm not saying I get why. I don't
It's because
disagree.
IFBB wants more money. They
Yeah,
want to charge,
it's more pros out there. It's more money, of course. I don't even remember when they changed that because, dude, 10 years ago it wasn't like that.
yeah, I was gonna say I think around 2016 or something like that,
Okay,
20,
yeah,
2017.
yeah,
I
because
could
it
be
wasn't
wrong, but
it wasn't like that forever, from what I remember. But anyway, what else you
bro, you
got?
sent to win the overall at nationals to turn pro.
Oh, you're right. You wasn't even the weight class.
And this is like I think 2004 they changed that
You're
to
right.
class wins. Okay, what else do I have? Least favorite bodybuilding trend.
Least favorite what?
Bodybuilding trend.
Bodybuilding trend. Okay.
I
I don't like what. What is like a bodybuilding trend? Tripods in the gym. You good?
Oh, it was so hot. It got me.
Good.
Yeah, I'm crying a little bit now.
I'm trying to
Yeah, I
think.
guess
Like,
tripods in the gym. Uh, those pictures of everybody adding 100 pounds of muscle, the AI trend.
oh, the AI. Oh, that. Okay, like a trend like that. Damn, maybe I missed that old, bro. Yeah, I don't. I mean, I don't know. I really don't leave my house. I haven't been in a gym in like 6 years, so I don't really know. I Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
I don't
I,
know.
I, I
It's like a trend that's kind of annoying is everybody fucking using the posing room at a gym when they're just going when they're just going in there for like TikTok videos and shit and they don't compete.
yeah.
Not sorry to the listeners, but not to you, Steve. You can deal with it. The thing is just not that they shouldn't be allowed to use the posing room. It's just annoying, like as a bodybuilder, especially when you're in prep and there's just like a couple of dodo birds fucking around the posing room. It's like, dude, this is a tool realistically for bodybuilders. Like, let me just fucking get in there.
Fair. Fair.
But you know all about that in your shed gym.
My she shed. Yeah. Now what else you got?
All right. Why SLU so goaded? So like what I don't know what's so good about SLU.
SLU. I'm so like on the forefront, it creates almost a similar effect to Clan. So obviously they bind at different receptors, but it creates a similar effect without like the stim and the jitters and all that. So it pretty much is like, just for sake of like any scientific bullshit, it's pretty much makes your metabolism feel and think like you're exercising pretty much all day. Um, so pretty much just gives you a more metabolic effect, metabolic activity spark all day.
What they're now categorizing as a metabolic activator. There are other
Yes.
compounds like this, such as MOTC. Um, what the fuck is the blue shit that so many people use? The drops.
Oh, a
Um,
methylene blue.
methylene blue, yeah, like that's a metabolic activator. So effectively, what they're doing. Oh yeah, you're the best. It's awesome. Yeah, send salt and iron, so she hooked me up. I was looking for water.
So funny.
Second time she's come through like that. All right. Basically, what these are doing, specific to the SLU, is increasing mitochondrial biogenesis, so generating more mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell. The more mitochondria you have, the higher metabolic rate will be, the greater your fat oxidation will be. So these are really, really fucking good compounds that you don't even necessarily need to cycle. At least on the SLU, I would have to do a little bit more research into the MOTC, but that is something that I'm beginning my own research and experimentation with as well, because I do find that the SLU is such a fucking effective tool. Um, Helps people stay lean in their growth phases, and it helps people get leaner during prep. So I am a very big fan of these compounds.
Yeah. I know Retta's a big one. Um, Motzi
Dude, Reddit
is
is there's it's not to cut you off, but there's data coming out about Reddit now about like reduction of cancer cell volume
I know it's
in
crazy.
patients with cancer patients with it. So it's like
No wonder they're
these
trying to
things are
ban it.
crazy. Oh yeah, that's why the FDA is cracking down on all the fucking research chemical companies because they want the pharmaceutical companies to fucking sell it to you for 1,000% more.
Yep. Yep, of course. Yeah, as I know
Even though when you have
Retta,
companies like Modern, like you're getting a really fucking good
yeah.
product from them.
Well, they're cutting out on
I
Retta.
know. Yeah, I know.
There's other websites that have it though.
Yeah.
Um, I know SS31 has become a big one.
Yep.
As well. You're not taking that, are you?
No, no, I don't. I don't feel I would need it.
No, yeah. So like
You know
Matt
what's
said,
getting a
Mott's,
lot of popular? You know what's getting a ton of popularity now that used to be kind of popular back in the day is CJC and
yeah, and
Ipamorelin.
Epimorale, and yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are using that though, but you don't really see a lot of like good physiques that are taking that from what I've seen because they're taking growth hormone.
No, I know. That's the thing that I say to a lot of these people that ask me about it. It's like, look, it's definitely something useful that you can
Expensive,
try. It's
fucking
fucking
expensive.
expensive, bro.
Yeah, I tell people
Fucking
you need, so I think I priced it out. You need like 400, $500 a month to run that at like the right dose, which is like, who the fuck's doing that? You know what
yeah,
I
just
mean?
run growth.
You just
That's what
run
I
real
tell
grow.
everybody,
Yeah.
just run growth.
Yeah.
But I have some
So,
clients that have the expendable income that want to experiment with this stuff. So I'm like, fuck it, you want to do it?
yeah,
Let's
of
do it.
course. Yeah, I've been putting the slew on people's plans. Obviously, Retta. Those are the two big ones. Mot C and SS31. I know, like you said, have become such big things. Are you taking Mot C right now? No. Yeah, they're just really good peptides from what we know. I mean, I know once I can start fucking training here again and everything, I'm gonna definitely do the slew. I'm not doing Retta because I need to be able to eat, of course.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely not.
and I also, in terms of like how shredded I've been in the past for shows, I definitely don't need it. But so
If getting it for
slew,
free, might as well fuck with it. Like not the Reddit,
yeah.
but like the slew and
Oh
whatnot, you
yeah,
know?
the Mott C for sure. I still take the same max and the Selang for my anxiety, and I have noticed a difference. And I was asked, who asked me? Maybe David. I forget. Somebody asked me how I know the difference, and I said, listen, when you have terrible anxiety like I do, you know when that shit's hitting and when you feel better. So, especially when you've been dealing with it almost half your life. So, I take that along from a peptide perspective. That still, and obviously the BPC and the glow, um, which I can't really see myself ever stopping.
No, dude, the glow is good shit. The
It's
GHK,
so good.
I attribute some of my hair growth, my hair returning
Me too.
to the GHK. No, legit, man. For like a few months after I competed, my hair was pretty fucking thin. I mean, I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm looking like I'm fucking in my 20s again, man. Feeling like a stud.
What is going on? What are you doing? Yeah, just came in here sleeping up. Go to your mother.
Oh no. She crying. She okay?
Yeah, I don't know why. Nina's making her clean up her toys.
Valid reason to cry.
Typical 3-year-old shit. Sorry about that. um, I know you don't care. You have kids. You get it.
No, yeah. If the viewers care, they can remove themselves.
Did you hear her? She's like, Mom, he's making me pick up my toys.
No, yeah.
um,
Yeah, what do you got? That was it for
you
me.
got anything else? No. All right, let me see. I copy and pasted my questions when when you said that. Um, So I got a message from this individual. I didn't answer him yet, but he was asking about like risk management with uh enhanced competitors because he wants to start to use PEDs. But he also said he never worked with a coach. So he said he's just been, kind of seeing how different coaches approach the risks and rewards of PEDs and how they
Russian.
pretty much make sure you're doing it in the most responsible manner. That was literally his question. How do you as a coach approach risk management when working with enhanced competitors, especially someone where it's their first cycle?
Yeah, good question. The one thing I would advise this person is don't assume that all coaches are going to take the route of risk mitigation because
Yep.
there are coaches that won't give a fuck at all. So for folks like Steve and I could say we will take number one, let's say you're going on your first cycle, it's going to be something very light, right? It might be
Yeah.
test and NPP, it might be test and primo if it's available, right? And that's gonna for at least for us, like that's gonna be the baseline of it, right? If you're somebody who like is doing really well with it, you might throw in another compound during that cycle. But it's that's a dependent thing, right? The main thing here is we start with light compounds, we start at lowest effective doses. And like just to throw numbers out there, for example, for something like this, first cycle, let's just say we'll call it 300 tests to start, and I'll call it, let's say 70 milligrams of NPP, right? And I'll tell you which ancillaries to have on hand to manage estrogen and potential prolactin increase, right? Which is not likely at 70 milligrams of NPP. From there, that may be your entire cycle, right? That might be, let's call it a 12-week cycle, which again is a bit on the shorter end when you look at the broader scope of how we go about our cycles. But that might be it. But again, that you might do really well and you're not getting any side effects, and we might titrate those doses up slightly. Again, first cycle might be very slightly, maybe up to 400 tests and maybe 100 120 NPP or 150 NPP max, right? So we're still talking very low, but that's effectively how we would structure something like that. And the risk mitigation piece is picking compounds that aren't super heavy. So like throwing a bunch of orals in there is not a good idea, especially for our first cycle. Or God forbid somebody throws something like Trin at you for a first cycle, which I'm sure there are plenty of people out there that have done that and still continue to do that.
Yeah, with
We
women
don't
too.
we Yeah, right. Like we don't pick harsh drugs to start, right? At the end of the day. So that at least from my perspective is some of the things that we do to assess that risk mitigation, especially with a client who's on a first cycle.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
and last thing I'll mention is obviously blood work, like making sure that you're healthy and ready to go before doing anything, and then of course getting those labs again after the cycle, or if you're somebody that has access to labs relatively easily, if you can even get it during the cycle to see where your sex hormones are at as a result of being on these doses.
Yeah, I think all that is, I mean, you pretty much nailed it all. Also, too, just to kind of throw one more thing in there, we also on plans obviously include like health supplementation, and I'm not talking like just a lifestyle client, us telling them to take like a multi fish oil and vitamin D and fucking vitamin C. I'm talking like we're gonna make sure on your plan you have like liver and kidney and heart support and all that stuff. Obviously, we also ask blood pressure and glucose as well. So I think that's also really important.
And side
Um,
effects, right?
and side,
If
yeah,
you have any side effects.
yeah, if you're having any side effects, like also recently on the check-in form too, I'm sure you saw added about mental health.
Mhm.
Just because like I think that's a big thing too, because obviously, some coaches don't really give a shit, but there's other coaches like me, Matt or I will have like a full conversation with you as a client, like because the more like a coach like one of us knows that the individual, the better like you could just help somebody, because you know a lot of people like will not they they want to have that trust with their coach, but they don't know how to approach it. So I feel like with the questions we ask individuals allow people to open up and start to kind of form that trust relationship, and that you know having that trust barrier between coach client, which I think is really important.
Yeah, yeah. No, perfect example is like you said, the mental health. Like if somebody who's normal stress week over week and their check-in is like a 2 max, all of a sudden they come at you with like a 7 or an 8
Yeah, it's like
in
what's
one
going on.
week. Oh, yeah, what's up, dude? And sometimes that conversation might be like, hey, it's time to deload, or maybe you need an extra day or two off from the gym. Like, that the body is not like a fucking ticking clock all the time. Sometimes you got to ease off the gas a little bit, and the mental health piece might be part of it.
Yep. Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So hopefully that answered the question for the guy
Good
who asked.
question.
Yeah. So the same guy also asked what determines whether a contest prep should be an aggressive push or a more long-term conservative approach.
question. So I mean, I don't mean to answer for both of us, but we're gonna take an approach, longer, slower approach with every single prep we have. The only time I'm never gonna like intentionally hold off somebody's prep to the point where I have to shot run it. But if I have to push a little bit harder than I typically do, like that's somebody who, well, number one, I've worked with for a while and I've worked with them through multiple off seasons and multiple preps, and like they just tend to stay really lean because I'd rather just
Right.
milk the size as much as I can for somebody who stays within like 12-10% body fat no matter what, how much food we throw at them. I'd rather milk some progress on PEDs during their prep than do like, a 14 or 16 week actual diet phase. Whereas most other people, it's 20 plus weeks.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, we like a bit longer time period. I've really seen too over the last few years, especially like even giving somebody just an additional 4 weeks can help, especially if somebody gets sick, right? Like this is stuff you can't like we don't have a magic ball, a magic 8 ball to say like, oh, this person's gonna get sick at 5 weeks out. But if we have a little bit extra time, even when we go into the prep with a good composition, it just allows insurance time, I guess, in a sense, right? I guess we could call it that because say you get sick, or say like we want to give you a diet break at 8 weeks out, but you look like you're at 5 weeks out. It just allows more versatility to just get you ultimately better, right? And at the end of the day, what is an additional 4 weeks? It's not like that first initial extra 4 weeks we're going to be pulling your food down a ton, but even if you reduce food by 20-25%, it might still actually make you 5 to 10% better in 4 months from then when the show gets there. So, um, I think obviously we like a little bit of a longer approach. I don't really think any Matt could get ready in 10 weeks realistically, but again, he wants to take a longer approach. God forbid he gets sick or something like that. But sure, people can get ready quicker, but um, especially if
It's
it's
just
your
ready
first.
to, well, yeah, why risk it at the end of the day?
Right, exactly, right. That's what I'm getting at. So yeah, awesome. Do you guys change your training approach to with clients as a competition draws near?
Um, so like if I'll answer this in a couple of ways. There's not a point where like prep starts and then I change somebody's programming. The only time that might happen is if, hey, we've been on the same training block for 5 months and like we just kind of want to switch it up.
Right.
Now, to answer it in another way, like we're nearing a show, will I change somebody's training? The only thing I'll do to really change their training is pull back on some volume and intensifiers just to mitigate some of the fatigue.
Yep.
But beyond that, yeah, peak week, we're not having them do their normal training. Like I'll usually at least the last couple of days, I'll build something specific where it's, a very purposeful workout for that person to drive nutrients into specific muscle groups that they personally need to be fuller on
Yep.
stage, right? But other than that, it's not changing much.
No. Right. Yeah, yeah, I think too, this is very person dependent. So like if we're starting to see someone's burned out and we're like refeeding consistently or pulling back on cardio and on those refeed days, it's 1, 2, 3 days in a row, and we're still getting that. Obviously, at that point, we'll look and we'll say, okay, maybe we need to pull back on some of the training volume. Maybe we need to lower you from 5 to 4 days, or take some sets out and whatnot. But it's so person dependent. It's so person dependent. That's why having good communication with your coach is a really important thing.
Yeah.
So, um, what advice would you guys give somebody trying to become a new coach in the bodybuilding space?
Make sure you're qualified before anything else. Like actually have an
Yeah,
understanding
I
of
would
what's
say if
going on.
one of the biggest things I know it's a pet peeve of both of ours is if you're gonna start throwing your hat out there and advertising that you can assist somebody in getting in shape, make sure you've been in shape at least fucking once yourself. Because if somebody comes to you at 4 weeks out and they're dealing with the mental side effect of being fucking shredded and you've never been there, how the hell can you advise somebody on something you don't know what it is, right? And I know me and you have touched on that a lot, right? So,
Yeah,
um,
dude, actually a story about that, right? So I had a competitor this year who really good competitor. We pushed for like a pro level condition for the show that he did, right? You probably know who I'm talking about.
yep,
And he had never been there before. He's been in shape, like he's had striated glutes, but he had never been in that sub like 4% body fat range.
Mhm.
And I remember it was the thick of the push that I ever really had to push him. And, he came to me and he was really struggling and like mentally. And this is somebody who is like a fucking stone wall resilient. You know what I mean? Like just always just focused, 1 out of 10 stress. Right. And it was kind of like, hey, this is like a chore. Like I don't want to feel this way. But it's like I knew right then and there because I've been there before. You only feel like that when you are at like DEFCON 1 level condition. And
Absolutely.
somebody who's never been there is not likely going to be able to guide somebody through that feeling because they've never been there before.
No. No.
And what that coach will then do is start second guessing, am I pushing this person too hard? Da, 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 like, and start, likely making changes that shouldn't necessarily be made.
Yep.
So yeah, that's just kind of an example, a real life example of knowing what it's like to be in the absolute misery of like near death body fat and being able to kind of walk somebody through that mentally.
Yeah. It's very, and let me say this, when you get there and you know what that's like, you don't never forget that feeling.
No, yeah. Yeah,
um,
like when your legs feel like concrete the moment you wake up in the morning, like,
oh
and
man.
you're just driving, you can't even lift your feet.
Did I ever tell you? I told you about the story of me going to LA Fitness with no socks on, right?
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I
dude.
was fucking spit up some of that water, you asshole.
I was like, I was
In my
like, uh,
nose.
I was like 3 weeks out from collegiates, and I remember I got up in the morning. It was like 5:15. I had to be at fucking college at 8, and I just remember like just it was one of them mornings, dude, where like each leg felt like 400 pounds. And I remember getting in my car, no regard, had no boxers on, just shorts, a t-shirt. And I remember just literally going barefoot, forgetting to put socks on, forgetting not even put slides on. It was just completely barefoot. I remember pulling into the front spot at the gym. I saw the lady unlocking the door, and I was just like, I looked down, I stepped out of the car. I'm like, oh fuck! It took like 5 minutes of pep talking myself, just get out of the car and go do 50 minutes on the stairs. And I was like, and I look down, I'm like, there's no way in hell I have the energy to drive 10 minutes back home, go back inside, walk all the way upstairs, and get socks and shoes. So I literally walk into the gym across the parking lot, all the way across the gym to the back to the Stairmaster barefoot and just did my cardio. I just did not care. And
Okay.
the lady came up to me. She's like, "Sir, you had no shoes on." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm 20 days out. I just do not have the end." I'm like, "I have literally like 17 minutes left. Can I just finish?" I remember her just walking away, like looking terrified. Like there's something wrong with this guy. But when you get to that point, is like
Yeah. Yeah. Going back to, I guess, the rest of the question, yeah, I mean, the one thing I would, if we're trying to give some positive advice to actually help somebody here, if you're taking on some clients and you don't know what to do to get started, if you can't get demand to actually get paying clients when you don't have results, because that's generally the biggest challenge when you start as a coach or start any business, I encourage you to take on some pro bono clients
yep,
and just make sure they're serious because once you have a couple of transformations, you will start to have people who will actually take you somewhat seriously, right? And if it's an
yeah,
impressive transformation, then you will be taken seriously. But that's something I would do. Leverage like your friends and stuff like that to find those types of clients because everybody's got
yeah,
the person that wants to be in shape and sometimes you get the person that's actually committed and they have a program to follow and a coach for accountability. You can get
right,
some good results with people like that.
absolutely,
But another just caution is, shifting gears back towards not necessarily like the advice to build your business, but the advice to ensure that you're going to deliver the service that you're promising is just make sure you're not getting yourself into a situation that you're not going to know how to handle. If somebody's seeking advice and they have some type of medical condition or somebody wants to prep with you and you don't really know how to actually prep somebody or peak somebody or God forbid if you're doing drug protocols, know what types of compounds may impact what types of blood markers and what other drugs will help mitigate those things, right? Like what types of supplements and diet manipulations you can make to fix markers that are off, right? So don't ever get yourself in a situation where you're not going to know what to do with somebody's health because I mean that's probably one of the biggest pet peeves that I have. I see so many people that do a show once and now they're a coach and they're taking on athletes and all this and they actually have no fucking idea what they're doing. And it's just you're doing a disservice to the people that are paying you their hard-earned money. It's just not right. Um, if you're seeking help to do those things as you are building your coaching business, hire a mentor, right? Like I have a mentee myself now. I'm sure Steve could he could anything is negotiable, right? I'm sure Steve would take on the right mentee as well. And then of course there are other coaches out there that do like big actual mentor mentee programs. I mean, they're pretty expensive, right? But these are things that I would highly suggest if you're, you want to do it right and know how to actually help people.
Right. Well, yeah, good advice. Um, what is one belief you've changed your mind on over the years as a coach?
It's a good question. I gotta think about that.
Yeah, I know. I actually didn't read it before. I just for the first time I just did. Thing that I've changed. God damn, that's a good question. Um, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like my philosophies have been pretty consistent since I've
Yeah,
been coaching. But I guess one thing I'll say I've become more I don't want to say open to, but actively program are things like Retatrutide or GLPs.
yeah,
I think at first it was just getting so much hype, and a lot of the data that was coming out around it were just sort of blanket statements of like, oh, help people with their blood glucose and their lipids. It's like, yeah, well, if anybody fucking loses weight, that's out of shape. Of course, these things are going to improve, right? It just kind of seemed like a cop out, but I've seen enough, well, new data that's actually coming out about it, but also just the result that a lot of clients are getting from it. So that's one thing I didn't necessarily ever have anything against it. I just thought it was way overused and way overprescribed. And I will say, I guess it is, but it still is. It's kind of a lot of people use it as like that, magic bullet. It's like there's a lot of coaches where it's like every single lifestyle client they have. It's like GLP, fucking this, fucking that, right? No matter what the goal is, no matter if they've even shown any progress just on their own, right? But yeah, I guess that's one thing I've implemented more,
yeah.
even though I demonized it a bit at first.
Okay. Yeah, I think so. I was thinking, I think one for me, and it's not something I might have changed my mind on, no, because you kind of already know this, but something that has become very apparent and more aware because prior to helping individuals, the only real changes I would see is being told what to eat myself and then seeing how you grow and then how you get on stage and look year after year, right? So I would say helping a ton of people now over the last 5 or so 6 years, it's that you really get like the more people you help, you kind of see that genetics really matter more than many people want to admit. And I think that's a huge, huge, huge one that um a lot of people like are in denial of. You could have somebody with all the fucking genetics in the world and you could train arms every day. You're never gonna have arms like Nick Walker. Like just because you work so genetics, I feel like really do when it comes to bodybuilding. They are the top of the food chain in terms of dictation on results, right? And obviously everything else, to reach your genetic barrier, you have to put all the consistency of all the variables in the puzzle together for a long period of time. But I think genetics matter a lot more than maybe I had even seen across a broader spectrum of individuals.
Yeah, it's a really good point, man, and I would concur with that because it's like having done this long enough now and helped enough people as well. I know who is bang out their plan and who isn't, right? And
I agree.
fortunately, I would consider like 90% plus of my roster is really fucking good and just listens to everything and communicates very well. But the point being is everybody's so bang on with everything, and I have individuals that either build muscle at a much quicker rate than other people. And I'll be honest, it's generally those people that lose body fat faster than generally most people. So that's purely genetic.
Yep.
And it is pretty crazy when you put it into perspective like that.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, yeah, I never, I guess before we started helping individuals, you see like yourself, I see myself. And then now it's like you see all these different individuals and it's like people get so discouraged when somebody hit this in a year, but they didn't. And it's a harsh reality for many people to swallow that genetics are at the forefront of really what dictates what you're going to look like, how fast you're going to progress. Drugs or not, you know what I mean? So like I think that was like a big one. Um, what was the other one I thought of? Oh, one thing too, I've probably really it's more I think a lot of this is you what you learn over experience, right? Is that true coaching and the best progress is never made by always pushing. That thing, that too, I think. Both of those, the genetics, and it's not always about, but I think both you and I have seen tremendous progress with individuals during times of a prep where we've actually given more refeeds and pulled back or added food and pulled back on training volume and things. So I think that was also something that like I have probably changed the way I outlook on a prep always having to be push and push and push. You know what I mean? So I think that's another big one.
Yeah, that's huge. I think a lot of coaches have yet to learn that.
Yeah, getting in true shape is not. I mean, you might hit one in a hundredth person people that can do 2 hours of stairmaster for 12 weeks and starve on no carbs and get in shape, and that might work for one out of 100 people. But I mean that's like
It even
finding
work for more than that, but it's just not the right way to fucking do it.
no, it's not right. Yeah, exactly. You're right. So, um,
Yeah, I had a conversation with somebody who came from another coach recently, and one of the things that set this individual over the edge to move on was the fact that this coach said that fatigue is not a something that in the bodybuilding world we use to determine what we do with somebody's like plan,
yep,
and that is just a perfect real world example of a lot of people not understanding the balance between pushing and managing systemic fatigue because like you just said, we've seen so many times where we'll be pulling back on cardio and refeeding multiple times a week and these people are making more progress than the previous 2 weeks that they were just pushing their balls off.
yep. Yeah, I agree. Um, and the last question I got here was from the same gentleman who
Oh,
asked those
I like
other
this
two.
guy.
Yeah, he like I said, he just randomly like started following me and just messaged me. So he said, "What do you think is a more dangerous coaching approach, an ignorant coach or an overconfident one?"
I guess it depends on what we're being ignorant
I
about.
know. I would say just in the broad spectrum of things, I would rather have a coach looking if I'll put myself in the client or the athlete's seat, coming to a coach, hey, listen, I'm here to do everything you tell me. I would rather see that coach portray overconfidence, even if it's something they're still trying to figure out, um, in the background,
I lost your audio, dude.
versus being ignorant to the fact and just being like, I don't know, or do this, or being just ignorant and thinking they know everything. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly right. Because that's the whole point. It's like it depends on what context they're ignorant about. If they think they know everything, and they actually do, is not actually not everybody knows everything, but like you could have a wealth of knowledge, right?
Right.
Um, like that's not as dangerous as somebody who's just like overconfident and fucking throwing everything in the kitchen sink at you.
Right.
You know,
Right. Right.
my whole basis of this question is what's dangerous and what's not. My mind just goes to ignorant because if you're just you don't know what the fuck you're doing and you're just like
Yeah. Just
throwing
don't do
shit
it.
out there, like that to me seems more dangerous than somebody that's just overconfident in what they're doing.
For sure. Yeah. Absolutely, man. Oh, Justin's on.
Justin
Armor.
Armor,
He
oh
just came
boy,
up. Did you do your workout today like a good boy? Because you didn't check in. Nah,
that was your last question.
that was it. Yeah.
Oh shit! Any questions in the chat for us before we wrap up?
Yeah. Justin asked us something good. Rams will lose. That's so fucking. You're such an idiot. Fucking asshole. That's it. You're gonna check in tomorrow, and I'm reducing you to zero carbs again. That's really what the fuck the comment is. You don't have a question. Sam always has good questions. Sam asks us a good
That's a good
question.
question.
Yes, he does. He always has good questions. Wait, hold on. Let me go on my notepad on my desktop. I know I had like questions from like fucking a month ago when I had like so.
That's right. Cool.
Remember, I had like 22 fucking questions.
Wrap up with one more.
All right, let me see what I got here.
Nothing about Stranger Things, right?
No, fuck no. I don't want to answer anything about that fucking show.
Who's the worst character in Stranger Things?
Oh, fuck, dude. The one that none of them fucking die. Like they don't kill any main fucking characters. All that's my problem with the show. We're like 47 episodes deep, and the only one who fucking has died is the guy who played Metallica.
Yeah.
It's fucked up. Let me
Oh,
see.
Billy died. Billy died. Me and Sam had this exact conversation the other night.
Yeah.
Billy died.
Okay. I'll ask a training question because I had like four from that podcast a month ago. What training variables do you guys believe are should be the most emphasized when trying to bring up a physique?
Another good one. Variables. You could quantify that as so many different things with regard to training. But if we're talking about bringing up a specific body part, frequency,
Yep.
personally, myself, I'm throwing intensifiers in there. And then just the other general, um, these don't necessarily need to be about bringing up a specific body part, but any body part is progressive overload and form.
Yep. I agree. Yeah, I said it form, progressive overload, and I would even throw intensity in there because I think intensity really is like such a driving force and factor in training. Um, and sometimes I kick
Great.
myself because I can't fucking. I feel like if I tried to train like I did fucking 6, 7 years ago, I would literally like be so injured.
Oh yeah, for sure. Same. I know. We gotta
Dude,
pick and choose our battles.
yeah, it sucks. That's just being fucking old. But if you're
Well,
not
every time
old,
I go to hit a new back movement, I'm like, all right, like, am I doing fucking 80% of my full capability, or am I gonna tear my bicep on this one? Like,
yeah, yeah, dude. I mean, me, I'm just like, if I fucking walk on the grass, I'm just gonna blow my fucking quad tendon out again.
ooh, a client that pays late but listens, or a client that eats off plan all the time. Absolutely the
Client
former.
that pays late, pays a day or week late, and listens
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that kills two birds with one stone. So honestly, it shows that they're honest and have morals and respect your fucking livelihood and your work, but they're also listening. Versus a client that just eats off plan all day, all the time. It's a what are you even doing here? Like, what the fuck is the point of coaching you?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
It's a good. That's a good scenario though.
Oh shit. I have to do something tomorrow. Completely fine. I forgot. Um.
But yeah, that is
All right.
this will end
Cool.
it
All
there.
right. That's it. Sounds good. Good
Thank you for
questions.
listening, guys.
Thank you. Love
We'll
you
be
guys.
back. That's our last live of 2020 fucking years of